This is the regular meeting of the FairTV Commission on today, the 19th, August 19th, Monday, 8 p.m. For FairTV. I call this meeting to order and we can begin. Luke, was Frank going to join us?
He said he would. I sent him the agenda with the link on Friday.
Okay.
He never got back, so I don't know if
That's fine.
I don't have his actually I do have his cell phone number if you want me to text him.
Yeah, why not? Because this meeting would not actually have occurred had it not been for this fact that apparently we have a balance for our 2024 budget that you alerted me to last week that we were not alerted to. I'm still confused how this mistake was made, but we can get to all of that. I don't have any opening remarks because again, this is the only agenda item. So Paula, I don't know if you do. Otherwise,
No.
Okay.
I just texted Frank. We'll see what he says.
Okay. So in the meantime, why don't we?
I mean, I can tell you. No, I could tell you what I know.
I think we should wait till we get to that part in the meeting.
Okay.
But first up is the secretary's report and approval of the July meeting.
I have nothing to report.
Okay. Do we want to approve the minutes for the July meeting?
Yeah. Need somebody to make a motion.
Yes, please.
I don't think I can make a motion to approve my own minutes.
I think you can.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the July, whatever it was, about 6 minutes, July 18th, I think it was, meeting of the FairTV Commission.
I second the motion. Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Sorry. Not hearing me?
Well, yeah. Are you going to say all in favor or?
Who seconded it? Somebody seconded it?
I did.
Oh, okay, sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I
Unanimous. Okay. I have nothing else to report.
Okay,
that
great.
is Frank that just joined.
Hi, Frank. So,
hey, can everybody hear me?
In the interest of Frank,
Yep.
yeah, in the interest of Frank joining, why don't we bump Frank? Thanks for taking the time here. Luke, why don't we bump your manager's report down a notch so we can dig in on the balance that we have remaining for the 2024 budget with Frank's help or thoughts. Luke, is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Yep.
Okay. So Frank or Luke, do you want to explain how we have money left over for this year's budget?
I can probably touch on that, and Luke, if you want, you could throw in some of the finer details.
Okay.
So basically, and if anybody can't hear me at any time, just let me know. But basically, as my understanding, what happened was I think there were some contractors, i.e., the freelancers that you guys use for staffing for the meetings, and I think there were encumbrances for those. And at the end of the year, Caitlin closes out all the purchase orders, and so when those purchase orders were closed out, essentially the money that was encumbered, i.e., it showed up that it was spoken for, now became available. So from my understanding, it's just because those contractors kind of came under, and what you guys thought you were going to spend, you had a balance that was available at the end of the year.
So Luke, that seems to be different than I think what you thought.
I mean, more or less. So technically, Jerry's salary also fell under the purchase orders for the vendors. And so I
Yes,
think
that's true. Yep.
yeah, so I think what, at least from my understanding, is I kind of looked at the balances. It looked like it was a combination of Jerry's difference in salary to what I make, and then all the other freelancers combined, which has made up the balance. So there was one freelancer that actually didn't end up working with us. So he was signed out. He had a purchase order of, say, like, I think it was like $3,000, but he ended up didn't work after Jerry left. So that kind of didn't carry over. And then on top of it was the difference. I think the biggest difference was Jerry's salary versus mine that didn't get paid out fully. And then the other was just kind of I think maybe over amount from the other vendors and the other, freelancers.
When does the new fiscal start?
July 1st.
Well, July 1st.
So wouldn't this have hit? So this was just realized as of July 1st of 2024.
Correct. Yeah, because
Got it.
as part of the year end close, and it's a little bit different because it's Luke's first year and he's not, like the regular department heads that are like living in the budgets all the time, right? So as part of the year end close, right, we look at all the open purchase orders, and if nobody's going to charge against those purchase orders in the current fiscal year, then usually we close them. And so that was just kind of the usual process that we went through. And like Luke said, right, it all just comes down to when you have a purchase order open, it's going to show as not available against the budget. And once you close those purchase orders, right, then all that money becomes available, so to speak. And so that the gist of it. I mean, Luke gave you the finer details, but that's essentially why there's why you guys are under budget.
Go ahead,
Lee.
Lee.
How much money are we talking about? Total.
It was 17,000 and I think about 300, I think. Let me get the exact details.
Yeah, I'm just looking it up in the Munis system right now.
Yeah, 17,485.
But actually, if Jerry's was closed out in the previous fiscal year, you're saying, Frank, that it wasn't
But I
just
think
due to.
because on mine,
Well, I think.
I think the
Oh,
purchase
go
order
ahead,
was
Luke.
already, yeah, so I think the purchase order was already written for Jerry because the budget had to be submitted before July 1st of the previous year. Am I right, Frank?
Yeah.
And,
So in fiscal 24, which ended June 30th, 2024, I that was my understanding, right? Is that the money was encumbered under Jerry, and then they just kind of essentially changed the vendor and then encumbered whatever was in Jerry's balance under you.
yeah, because I do remember
You
when
don't.
I first started, I saw it was at, I think it was at 55 or something. And I said, that's not what I signed on for. But I said, maybe that's, again, I was still new to it all. So I didn't really kind of raise any questions because I didn't know if that was, it would be distributed differently or whatnot. So I did notice the difference. So I think that's kind of where the biggest sum of the money came from.
And I'm just looking. And the reason why we're talking about this and it's August is because, June 30th hits, but we're still getting invoices through the end of July, right? So we don't really close out the fiscal year until, we don't start closing some of these POs until the end of the fiscal year when, we're sure there are no invoices. So like I said, this would have just been part of the year end close. I'm seeing about 16,000. Like Luke said, about 16,000 left over in the fees and professional service line for FairTV, which is the bigger account that has about 112,000 budgeted in it in fiscal year 24, and then about 1350 in the special department supplies account. You know, long story short is definitely from the town side, you know, it's good to come under budget because you know the management fee went down. We would expect there to be savings due to that. So because when we would have budgeted this last year, when we would have budgeted for FY24, Jerry was still working for the town. So after the budget was passed, this would have been new information that kind of would have come to us, and that's why it wouldn't have been reflected in the FY24 budget. But given that the management fee was reduced, then we would expect to see some savings here. But because there are savings, what some departments have the option, what departments have the option of doing is if there was something, you know, that came up or a piece of equipment that you wanted to buy, that came up in between when the most recent budget was passed, that is the FY25 budget, and now, right, because we pass in May, the fiscal year doesn't start till July, then you can, you know, reappropriate that money if it's for something specific, and you can roll it into the FY25 year. The only thing I'll add to that is, like I said, you know, you guys are a smaller budget, and I think we put good numbers in for FY25, so I'm not really concerned, you know, of you guys going over budget in fiscal year 25. But say you were to go over by, you know, 10%, I'm only looking at about, I don't know, you know, $11,000, right? So $11,000 out of the 360 million in the total town budget is something that we could probably figure out. So that would be all the information I could give you on a budget perspective.
Thank you.
But can I clarify, just to make sure I understand, the net carryovers is the figure Luke gave, $17,485. Yeah?
That sounds about right. Yeah. I'm not
Okay.
looking at what you guys are looking at because I'm pulling in, but that seems like it's the sum of the two that I have here. 1350 plus.
Do we have a deadline, Frank, as to when we need to appropriate this money?
Really, the deadline would have passed. The deadline's passed. We were, I know Luke wanted to talk to you guys or I don't know if he had any proposals or what, you know, if he had any ideas, but I think the date we gave was for tomorrow.
Yeah, I think when Dave initially told me, it was at the end of last week, about this. I had no idea. He called me and let me know. So then I talked to Dave Kraft, and you know, there was at the point it was what, end of last week, or maybe I think it was last week at the end of the week or so. And then, you know, obviously
Yeah.
we couldn't talk about this outside of a meeting, so that's why we kind of asked for the extension due to the meeting purposes, and to be able to chat about it before just making a decision like that off the cuff.
So Frank, do we have the discretion right now to, you know, allocate that money? I mean, even deciding now is obviously quick, but we just have to, you know, do things with, you know, proper decorum if there is an allocation to be made.
Yeah, so basically what it would, if there was, like I said, an idea that Luke had, or if there was something, you know, a piece of equipment or something that you guys wanted to roll forward to buy with these funds, then, you know, you could, I'm imagining, you know, vote on that or pass something on that, and then he would just have to write a letter. You know, I sent some examples of what he would need to send the controller as far as requesting that the reappropriation be made. Because I think the vote from you, I think the Board of Finance may request, you know, like from you guys, like the backup of what you voted on. But it is a vote of the board. So depending on what you guys decided, this is also going to go to the Board of Finance, and they're going to vote on it.
Okay, so Luke, what do you have in mind?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a few things that we could use probably. Again, one of them would be like we use cameras for like the shoots out at the schools. Seem like they're pretty older. I mean, on the older side, so I would say maybe like 3 new cameras. Turns out, I think they're about 5,000 each, so that would be about 15,000 the cost. That was one option. The other option would be another one of our systems that we use that called a TriCaster. That's kind of like a reach to get one of those because we already have 3 in operation. It would more be like a backup to have on hand in case one dies. And then the other one I kind of thought of last minute, but again, this kind of, I don't know if this is not able to be used, but like me and Lee talked about the whole microphone setup in the Zoom room at the Board of Selectmen. I talked with Dave Kelly and he said that, there's an option to throw a second microphone in those Zoom rooms. But he said, it's not cheap. But again, I don't know if we can use the money towards that to get a couple more microphones up in the ceiling to make, the Zoom rooms a better production. I mean, I don't know, again, I don't know if that's cross department or it's technically under the same department because we fall under IT. I don't know if Frank, you'd be able to answer that at all.
I would say for the Zoom rooms, because that was part of a bigger capital project.
Yeah.
I would say, I would say the first 2 that you mentioned would be
Would be better.
Would be viable option. Yeah.
Okay, so don't even get involved in the Zoom room option.
No, because I don't know what it was quoted, but sometimes those things could end up being more than was
Yeah.
quoted. I know it was a little bit of a complicated project.
Yeah,
So,
especially if it comes back to labor hours and stuff like the installation fees, and it turns into more of a headache than the 17,000. Yeah, that makes sense. So I guess it would be just the cameras or the backup TriCaster. I would say maybe the cameras, just because I know that we would use them right away. I mean, I can send you guys a quote or stuff like that more officially. But they're basically the ones that we have, but the newer versions, and they're 4K and better zoom, better quality, better all the above.
So, and how much would that run?
I think they were about. I could give you the exact numbers if you want. I think roughly 15. Let's see.
So I think an option for you guys could also be if you wanted to pass. We did this with capital outlay in the budget, and I think it would be fine for this. But if you wanted to, just put the either or options, if you guys voted on either the cameras or the TriCaster, and Luke
Yeah.
could put that in the letter, I think that would suffice. That way,
Okay.
if you needed to get solid quotes on that, or if you guys wanted to have discussions on which one would be better, you don't have to make the absolute decision now, but the money would be there for either of those 2 purposes. And you can talk about that at a later date, and that way we get what we need. I think that would work.
Yeah, okay. I think that would be the best option, just because again, the TriCaster would be more of a backup. So you hate to get something that's not going to be used right away. But again, our TriCaster dies tomorrow, then it's like, okay, well, that's the option that we would go for. If it dies in 2 months or something, And Dave, I just looked. It looks like one camera is $46.95. So that times 3 plus shipping, or plus tax. So roughly 15.
Paula, Lee, Suzanne, do you have thoughts on this?
I think the either or option is nice. I mean,
Yeah.
it'd be nice to just say something so that we have the funds and then we can think about it a little bit. I like the idea of the microphones. just because the technology that makes it so much easier on the back end, right? If you have better sound going forward, but yeah, I like the either or option.
Yeah, and then Dave, just the TriCaster that I would probably get is like 15,995. Just so it's almost the same, roughly the same.
I'm sorry, what does the TriCaster do?
So that's like that's basically what we use every day is like we get the video in, we put all the cameras up on it, we put the graphics in it. It's basically like the editing software, the live
Yeah.
stream software that then we push out to the broadcast server.
So but this feels like apples to oranges, like the cameras versus the TriCaster.
I mean, if we can do the either or, I think that would probably be the best option. I mean,
Okay, so
If-
you're saying we don't have to decide on that now, but I'm not quite, I mean, do you want to send us some info so that maybe like the next time, our next meeting, we could vote on it and,
well, I think
try and,
yeah, I think as long as like Frank said, as long as we're able to allocate the funds over to the next fiscal year, then we could make a decision at a later date, right?
Yeah, I'm not too sure how it's been with the FairTV Commission, but I don't know if you can say, if you guys can vote on, allocating the funds for this purpose or this purpose, and then, make the final decision at a later date, I think would be fine. But that you're just going to you're going to allocate the funds. Or once you allocate the funds for either or, then it can be more of a discussion, but the money will already be allocated, and then you can have the go ahead as to what you want to do.
But there's options that seems to make sense.
what's that, Lee? Sorry.
I said that gives us options that seems to make sense to me.
Yeah, I didn't know we could push money forward like that.
So so ideally, what would have happened is this, and this is really just a miscommunication, on my part, right? Because ideally, what usually happens is department heads kind of see towards the end of the year, they kind of know what purchase orders are open, and then, maybe there's like a little bit of pre-planning, but this is Luke's first year. He's not familiar with the year-end close, and so it just kind of plopped open on his lap, like you said. Like we kind of let Dave Kelly know last week. And this is something, you guys are a smaller budget, so it's at the year-end close. It's not something that I'm particularly looking for, right? So next year, now that we kind of know this, and it's kind of happened once again. It's happened once. You guys would have a little bit more ability to do planning, because ideally what would happen is that, if you kind of know you're going to be good and you wanted to do something like this, you do it before the fiscal year ends. Because there was that miscommunication, we said to Luke, hey, listen, we'll give you the opportunity to talk to your board, and talk about reappropriating the money forward. Usually for such small amounts, we honestly really don't do it, and your budget is a smaller budget, so like I said, we really wouldn't say like go ahead and push it forward. We say you came under. If you were to go over, everything would be fine. But this is kind of a something that I don't think would be likely to happen in the future. But it is something that the town does with other departments. Like I said, you can reappropriate
Thank you.
the budget authority.
Okay. So I'll just make a motion then to allocate this remaining balance from FY 23-24 into the 20, is that correct, Frank?
Yeah, from FY 23-24 to FY 24-25.
Okay, so I make a motion to allocate the funds of approximately $17,000 and change from FY 23-24 to FY 24-25.
I second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, so yeah, I mean, let's, I still think we should take it up. The sooner we have this stuff, the better.
Yep.
Maybe it'll even satisfy Lee's neighbor.
Oh, you missed
Um,
it. He's happy now.
You missed the whole thing, but that's okay.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's amazing. No, I don't, okay. Listen, this is really good. Frank, thank you for extending this courtesy thing that we / Luke should be doing now, or none of this really comes into play until we get to next June, July.
Yeah. You're saying, is there anything that you should be doing now, or?
Yeah, I just wondered in terms of that bookkeeping or closing out, is there anything else you're looking to us from?
No. What I'll do, like I said, just for next year, is I'll just throw a reminder on my calendar for like May, just to like, look it up and just take a quick look. And like I said, I wouldn't expect something like this to happen again. But also, like I said, I mean, budget's very small. If I don't think we think you guys are spending like crazy over there. So if you guys needed help one year, then the town can always figure something out.
And
All
Dave,
right.
just to piggyback on that, I mean, obviously, again, it was my first year. I didn't know exactly like hours and stuff like that for the end of the year. So I think now that I had a full year under my belt, I'll have a better understanding of what an actual year looks like, how much, we need on certain point of the year. So I think, like Frank said, we did a pretty good job at the budget for this year moving forward. So I think we should be right on. But now, I'll obviously have my eyes open for end of the year stuff and make sure that we don't have this again.
That sounds great. I think we're fine.
Yeah.
Frank, thanks very much for this.
Yeah,
And Luke,
Yeah, one more, Frank. So I'll send that letter over tomorrow. Is there any way I should, I know you sent me the sample, but now that if we're going to do the either or, um, is there specific wording that I should use, or is it better to just put one item and then switch it if we end up switching?
I'll shoot you an email. So what I'll do is I'll just write up a draft real quick, and I'll shoot it over to you, and then but I'll just have Caitlin take a look at it in the morning,
Okay.
just so we don't have to go back and forth too many times, and then I'll just
Yeah.
shoot it over to you, and then you can just basically insert the things that the specifics, and
Yeah.
and I think we should be good to go.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
thanks a
problem.
lot, Frank.
Yeah, anytime.
Yeah. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
All right, if you guys don't need anything else, have a good night.
Yeah. You too.
Thanks.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So seamless transition. Luke, do you have anything else regarding your, manager report?
I mean, that was pretty much it. I mean, the other stuff is just the good news of that the new broadcast server is working well. We've gotten some good feedback about it, I guess. Some people know that it's working better. My staff loves it. They said makes their job a million times easier and more efficient. It's just much more fluid. And then, I mean, other than that, we got like a little bit of an uplift in the office. I mentioned some things about the moisture and how humid it was down there, and they, cleaned everything and repainted the whole office, and the Department of Public Works jumped on it super fast. They got a dehumidifier down there, so it's, I got a bunch of new desks in, new computers, so we're doing well. So everything,
Good.
like I said, the staff's happy. They love it. They love the new setup. So
Good.
it's going well over there. That's pretty much all I got for tonight.
That's great to hear. I'm glad for all the trials and tribulations with the server. It's paying off.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if
Literally.
you saw, but they finally approved that purchase order, and they're gonna get the money out to them, the vendor, I think shortly. So there was a little bit of a hiccup, again, because of my first year. I didn't know there was certain regulations and whatnot. But moving forward, I know that now, and luckily we were able to fix that out pretty quickly.
I saw the back and forth with you and what's the process involved in that? You want to just briefly explain to
Yeah,
everybody?
so essentially I didn't know, and I did check with purchasing. They did not tell me this, but when you buy a big item over $10,000, it has to go out to bid. So it has to go out to bid, and then I think you need 3 quotes, and then whoever is the highest bid or whatever, they get the job. I didn't know that, so I did get a few quotes, but I went with the one that was the cheapest, and then I guess I didn't submit it to the town or something. So I checked with purchasing before I went with them, and they said all I have to do is just send them the purchase order after the fact. But miscommunication, but either or. But now it's all squared away. I just had to submit a sole supplier, which essentially says that the vendor that we went with is the sole supplier of that product, which essentially they are because of the manufacturer. So that kind of fixed it, and then they were able to get paid. So one thing you learn. So it's all good now, though.
For sure.
Yeah. So. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I got for today. I think the biggest thing, like I said, the budget excess money was kind of the hot topic for today.
Thanks for putting it on our radar, and this is a great solution. And now we know how to handle it for next time.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I didn't know that. I didn't know the exact regulations and rules of that. But moving forward, obviously now I know.
All right. Anybody else have anything?
And Luke, just a reminder, I'm going to be away as of Thursday.
Yeah.
So if you need anything signed by me before then, send
Yeah.
it over. Otherwise, you have to get Dave or
Yeah, I
somebody
think
else
the invoices are due next week, so unfortunately I have to get those over to Dave on the Wednesday the 28th. So yeah, it might be kind of. I mean, you know what? We'll see, because we do have meetings next week. Although,
Yeah.
you know what?
Just
No, I
Luke-
might be able. You leave the 22nd.
Yep.
I might be able to get the invoices to you Wednesday. Is that okay, or is that too late?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to get them to you because we have no meetings this Thursday or Friday. So then the next week that would be under the next invoice anyways. So that would actually work
Okay.
out pretty well.
Okay.
So I'll tell the guys to get them over to me now, and then I'll get them
Okay.
to you by Wednesday.
That's fine.
Alrighty?
Yep.
Where are you going, Lee? Europe?
Greece, yeah, to Europe.
Nice.
Awesome. Nice. Exciting.
That'd be great.
Wishing
That'd be
you a
great.
great and fun time.
Great hot.
Yes. And crowded, from what I hear.
Yeah.
Suzanne, where are you? Anywhere special?
The Poconos, I'm at Woodlock or Lockwood. I forget the name of it.
Lovely.
It's like camp for families. It's fun. They're
Yes.
vacuuming in the lobby right now, so it's like,
Thanks for taking the time.
yeah,
I
of
know that-
course.
I
It's
know that
actually
place.
nice to not have my kids
Yeah, we wanted to give you a break on your vacation. Just kidding.
Give you a vacation.
I might just sit here for like another 30
Yeah,
minutes.
pretend you're
Stare at the screen and be like, oh, I'm working.
Yeah. The meeting lasted 3 hours.
Anyway,
Get a lot done.
on.
All right, guys. So we'll I think, we'll talk more about this next month. But we really have to, I mean, even though that's the beginning of the year, there has to be like solid agenda items to have these meetings. This obviously warranted it, but if we have nothing, and really there's no requests coming through, I'm loath to do this. I mean, at this point, are pretty well-oiled machines, so thanks to you, Luke and Lee and Suzanne and Paula, so. Okay, I make a motion to conclude this meeting of the FairTV Commission for August 18th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, thanks all. Have a good rest of your summer.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you guys too. See you
Right.
later.